Hello out there guys, welcome back to the channel. Sorry it's been a little while, just been going through a little something which I'm not going to go into all the details of it because I like to keep some things private, but it's inspired me to make this video, and I've just had a real understanding of just how deep this matrix goes and just how deep the manipulations and the hijacking that these matrix forces will go to in order to take you off your path and essentially work through other people. Now, I speak a lot about entities, attachments, and everything that's going on in the astral. And of course, that is all going on. But being in a physical body, being a human, you are encountering and you are surrounded by other humans. And I've spoken a lot down the years of how some people are just fully hosted. They're literally just human vessels walking around with a demon inside of them or heavy attachments. And I've also spoken about, and I'm not the only one that's spoken about this, in terms of like love bite scenarios, how relationships are set up in the astral, and almost like when you get on a certain path or your life is going to take a trajectory in which will harm the matrix, maybe you are going to expose it more, or you're going to come across a piece of information, it's almost like you get whacked with these experiences where someone will come into your life and essentially be someone or pretend to be someone that they're not. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the line, you actually realize that you have been dealing with a demon incarnate. And I speak a lot about how these entities can masquerade, how they can give you half-truths, how they can pretend to be one thing and they're actually another. And this is real. But because these entities are often working through humans, sometimes it flies under the radar and you don't realize what you're dealing with. Now, I made a video a few years ago called "Are Narcissists Really Demons?" And this is what I believe is happening. And you hear that term thrown around so much. You know, everyone's a narcissist. It seems like every broken relationship is you know, the ex was a narcissist. So I think we have to be careful when we are throwing those terms around, because some people have mental disorders, bipolar, and other things going on. Some people have a lot of trauma, so they're repeating patterns and projecting. And so I think it's unfair to label everyone with that tag, you know. And sometimes people are calling other people's narcissists when they're the narcissist, you know, gaslighting and smear campaigning people to feel a certain way about a person. But sometimes, guys, I'm telling you, there are people, there are humans who you think that you know, and they do a complete 180 or a 360. And the mask slips, the veil falls, and you actually realize that what you've been dealing with isn't at all what you think you've been dealing with. And the trauma that induces, the pain that induces, the healing that needs to be done from that, it's incredible. Some people never get over it. Some people have one experience like that and they're never able to get over it. And sometimes that can happen in childhood. Maybe you have a mother or a father that what we would term is narcissistic, but actually it's a demonic possession going on. But quite often, because these entities, this system, it knows you better than you know yourself. It knows your gifts, it knows your qualities, it can see future timelines, it can see what trajectory you're on, and it will adjust accordingly. It will put obstacles in your path accordingly to knock you down, to beat you down, to take you off your path, to destroy you, all because it doesn't want you getting to that highest point, your highest timeline, your most powerful timeline, where perhaps you're coming into new awareness, you're doing true healing, you're having true understanding. So many times people have told me whereby once they start getting into working out what's really going on in terms of the soul trick, understanding how entities work, the energetics of things, starting to move into their sovereignty. So typically people that are coming from the New Age or religion, they're just actually starting to get on the right path. Bang. Something happens, someone happens, someone comes in and is a complete distraction. And then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 months down the line, you're having to deal with the fallout of it all. And before you know it, you're completely off your path, completely traumatized. And yeah, it's a win for the Matrix. And this is a real thing. And what I'm saying, guys, is it's not like as humans, we need to interact. We need connection. I think with social media and everything that's happened here, I mean, the term social media, it's kind of ironic, right? Now everyone's in their phones, everyone's in their smartphones, everyone is there's just this fakeness, this falsehoods. Like people are connecting but not really connecting. Don't get me wrong, there are some positives with the internet and social media because, I wouldn't be able to put this video out now. And, we're raising certain issues and we're talking about things that need to be spoken about. But generally, as a species, we are more disconnected from than ever before. You go out, you go to a restaurant, there'll be a couple there, they're both sitting on their mobiles, and it's like they're together, but they're so distant. Anyway, I'm going off point there, but it's just, the same discernment that you show in terms of information, a resonance, does it feel true? We have to carry that around with us on a day-to-day basis because there are demons hiding in human bodies everywhere. And again, I'm not saying it's everyone. I'm not saying that, you should never leave the house or try to interact with people or even to let someone close. But, man, you have got to be so careful out there now because I believe there to be more demonic entities. Sorry, it cut out there. More demonic entities in human bodies than ever before. Now, whether or not that's through the poke in the arm, obviously that does something to people's frequencies. Whether or not it's the whole CERN thing, I believe CERN, it opened up a portal. And I'm not religious, I'm against all that, but we know that they wrote the Bible, and we're in these end days where I believe that there are more of these entities around than ever before, and more hosted humans than ever before. So we really need to be on our mettle in terms of who we're engaging with and who we allow into our personal lives. And the same thing applies. Not everything that is sugar is sweet. And there's a lot of these human vessels with demonic entities that are pretending to be all sugar. And then further to that, I actually believe that a lot of our traumas in our lives are kind of set up by the Matrix to induce all of this trauma, just even from the birthing process. I've spoken about the birthing process where I've had clients where they've gone back, even myself, gone back to memories where they were stuck in the birth canal, where the birthing process is where the mother's supposed to squat and not lay, so the baby it takes a long time to come out. And I went back to a memory where I was basically as soon as I was born, more or less, I was put into an incubator away from my mother, and I didn't even have conscious memories of this. This is something that I went into through my own regression. And I said to my mum the other day, I was like, "Mum, did I get put into an incubator?" She said, "Yeah, you had jaundice. How do you know that?" I'm like, "No, it's just because I did some inner work, and I could see myself as a screaming baby alone in an incubator." So the Matrix is constantly trying to induce trauma to, take you off your path, to upset you, to not allow you to be who you're supposed to be, to not shine your light. And these people come in at quite often very poignant moments in our lives, as I've mentioned before, people that are starting to come out of the new age, and those, suddenly someone comes in their life, and the same's happened with me. Before I got into like understanding entities and all of that stuff, I had a huge love bite scenario going on, which nearly destroyed me. But then I think back to like childhood, where I slipped on ice because this kid was picking on me and we were going to fight. I slipped on ice. I knocked these 2 teeth out. My teacher died on the second day of school in front of my eyes. And, I'm not saying I've had the worst trauma in my life, not by far. I mean, what other people go through, what I've heard other people go through, it's way worse than that. But I look back and I think all these events kind of, it's taken a lot of time to heal myself from all of this stuff. And I'm not sitting here saying I'm totally healed or anything, but you get my point. And so my message really is, just be careful out there, because people can act a certain way for a very long period of time. And you think that you know someone, even with all like the discernment and everything, and you can still get rug pulled. You can still get the dump in the punch bowl. And no one is immune to this, especially those of us that are in this kind of awareness. And I think that I don't like using the word targeted, because it's not empowering. Then you can fall into victimhood, but there are those of us that are, just by us moving into awareness, is a threat to the Matrix and its control. And we know they want us stuck in these false belief systems. They don't want us progressing. They don't mind us progressing to a certain level, maybe like the 3D level of this all. Politicians are corrupt, yada yada yada. They don't care about that stuff. But if your path is heading towards really understanding what this place is on an astral level, the tricks that are going on there, how these entities are working, soul trick and everything like that, then you need to be a little bit more prepared, a little bit more on your mettle. And of course, you know, they get us because we need connection. We want connection. As humans, we're supposed to connect. And they know that. And I'm sure that they set these things up for these people to come into your life at these T-junction events where they don't want you going right. They need you to go left. So it's not really a video about anything in particular. It's just, just be very discerning all the time. And a lot of your suffering and trauma, whoever is watching this, is probably because they know who you are. I mean, don't get me wrong, this place is set up for that anyway. But if you've had particularly difficult times and moments, then chances are that they don't want you being your best self. They don't want you healed. They don't want you working this stuff out. And they will throw any spanner in the works to get at you sometimes. And so, let me know what you think, guys. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if this information resonates with you. And don't forget, you can check out my work, my sessions on my website, transcendingtimes.org. And I'll speak to you very soon.